This is Mrs. Wayne's Math Class, Chapters 6, 7, 8, Packet D, Lesson 1, LCM, which stands for Least Common Multiple. Today's learning target: by the end of the lesson, you should confidently be able to say, I can find the LCM, or least common multiple, of numbers. Today's vocabulary: the first word is least, which means the smallest. Our next word is common, which means the same. And finally we have multiple, which means the answers to multiple minutes. And notice on the M, since it has two lines, or actually three I guess from the middle of the M, that face down or vertically, I made arrows pointing down. When we answer our multiple minutes, we do go from top to bottom. So the least common multiple is the smallest answer to multiple minutes that's the same for all the numbers. LCM is the acronym or the initials that stand for least common multiple. Anytime I take a look at that last letter, the M, I put the arrows because there's two lines facing down. Sometimes that can get confused with the other acronym we recently learned, which is GCF. But in the acronym GCF, which stands for greatest common factor, we see that there are two lines facing sideways, and we make those into arrows to show us that we move sideways or horizontally. So remember, for GCF, if I was looking for the GCF of 4 and 10, I would say 4 and 10, and I would do my work horizontally from left to right, just like the two lines in the F show me. So I would say 1 and 4 are my factors, 2 is a factor, 2 times 2, and I never write it more than once, so I'm done. For 10, I'd say 1 and 10 are the factors, 2 and 5 are the next group, 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work, I get to a 5 and I'm done. I don't see a 4 down there, but I do see a 2 down there, so my greatest common factor is 2. And notice that all of the work that I do for greatest common factor, I have the two lines that go from side to side. Least common multiple, my last letter is the M with the two lines facing down. So if I was going to do the same numbers 4 and 10, as you'll see I start with the larger number first, I'm going to work from top to bottom for this. So I go through my multiples of 10, 10. Does 4 go into 10? No. What comes after 10 in my multiples? 20. When I go through my 4s, do I get to 20? Yes. So my LCM is 20. Notice that for my LCM, each of my lines, as I work it out, go from top to bottom. So that helps me to remember the two, the order I work in, and how I solve them. Let's take a look at example number 1 to see how we find the LCM, or least common multiple. Example number 1 says find the LCM of 4 and 15. I know that LCM stands for least common multiple, and I don't want to confuse that, so I'm going to look at my very last letter. Oh, I see the two pairs of lines there that face from top to bottom. I know I'm going to do this work from top to bottom. I can do it either way, but the lazy man trick, because it's the fastest way to get to the correct answer when doing the least common multiple, is to start with the largest number. So if I have 4 and 15, I'm going to start with 15 because it's faster. I write 15 with a line under it and 4 with a line under it. I'm going to be working down, so I need room underneath each number. Okay, it's the least common multiple. Multiples are the answer to my multiple minutes. So I'm going to start with 15. I go through the multiples of 15, and what's 15 times 1? It's 15. When I go through my multiples of 4, do I ever say 15? 4, 8, 12, 16? No, I don't. So that's a no. What comes after 15 when I go through my multiples of 15? Well, I don't have anything memorized past my 12s. So if I have a number that is larger than 12, I'm going to use a little scrap paper. So I say 15 was the first one, plus another 15. That's what 15 times 2 would be, right? 15 and 15. Work it out, and I get 30. So then my next number is 30. When I go through my 4s, do I ever say 30? 4, 8, 12, 16, 24, 28, 32? No, I don't. What comes after 30? We'll add another 15 to it. I add this together, and I get 45. When I go through my 4 times tables, do I say 45? No, I say 44 and then 48, so that's a no. What comes after 45? We'll add another 15 to it. When I add that together, I get 60. When I go through my 4 times tables, do I say 60? Well, the most I know up to is 4 times 12, which is 48, so I'm not sure. So what do? Use some scrap paper. Try the 60 divided by 4 and see if it divides in evenly. I go ahead, I fully solve the problem. I see that I have a remainder of 0. And if there's no remainder, that means it works. It divides in evenly. So the answer is yes. When I go through my 4 times tables, I do get to 60. Therefore, 60 is my LCM. The first one that I can say yes to is the least common multiple. Do be careful as you're going through the multiples not to skip any, because there are many common multiples of the numbers, but there's only one least common multiple. So you have to circle the first one that you get to, which would be the least common multiple. Please stop the video and complete worksheet number 1 right now. Now, before we move on to number 2, I have to tell you there's a common mistake that I see year after year after year. And we always get some kids who think they can outsmart everyone, and they say, oh, I don't need to go through all this work because the least common multiple is always just the numbers times each other. 4 times 15 equals 60. So the least common multiple is 60. And kids just think I can just multiply it all the time and get the least common multiple. And in some cases, like example number 1 right here, that is true. But that is not true all the time. So if you multiply the numbers, you will get a common multiple, but very often it will not be the least common multiple, and then your answer will be wrong. So you have to go through this process that we show you. Let's try an example with number 2. Example number 2 says find the LCM of 6 and 16. I see the 3-letter acronym. I'm going to look at the last letter to make sure I know which one I'm doing. And that's the M, which are my multiples. It shows the 2 lines facing down. Now, what I just explained to you, the common mistake that's made, if I thought I was smarter than the average bear, which you guys may not know that saying, it comes from a cartoon called Yogi Bear. If I thought I was smarter than the average bear and just knew exactly how to solve this by multiplying the numbers, I would say 16 times 6 equals 96. So the LCM should be 96. But let's work it out the way you were supposed to work it out and see if that's true or not. Okay, so when I want to find my least common multiple, fastest way to do it is take the largest number first and then the smallest number. I'm going to go through the multiples of the largest number. So 16 times 1 is 16. When I go through my 6 times tables, do I say 16? 6, 12, 18. No, I don't. So that can't be it. They're not common. I don't know my multiples of 16. So I'll use some scrap paper. And to get 16 times 2, I'll say 16 plus 16. I add them up, and I get 32. When I go through my 6 times tables, do I say 32? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. No, I don't. So that's not a common multiple. What's the next multiple of 16? Well, I'll add 16 on over here. 16 plus 32 equals 48. When I go through my 6 times tables, do I say 48? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Yes, I do. So that's the first one that I got to, which means that 48 is my least common multiple. Notice it's not 96. So this proves the point that you cannot just simply multiply the numbers. You must go through the work to find your least common multiple. Please stop the video and complete worksheet number 2 right now. And our final example is example number 3. What's the least common multiple of 2, 3, and 5? Well, notice here this time we're giving you 3 numbers, not 2 numbers, but it's pretty much going to work the same way. We're looking for the least common multiple. Remember, the last letter shows me that my lines go straight down to remind me what I need to do. So I need the least or the smallest multiple that's the same for all 3 of these numbers. Remember, the fastest way to solve it and get to the correct answer is to start with your largest number. So I'll write down my 5, then my 3, then my 2. Notice I went in number order from largest to smallest. So now I'll go through my multiples of 5. 5. When I go through my multiples of 3, do I get 5? 3, 6? No, I don't. If I did not find a common multiple for 3, I can simply put a line in 2, because why waste my time trying to figure it out? It cannot be the answer if it's not correct for all 3 numbers. Okay, go back to my 5s. After 5 comes 10. When I go through my 3 times tables, do I say 10? 3, 6, 9, 12. No. So therefore, I'm just going to ignore the 2. After 10 comes 15. When I go through my 3 times tables, do I say 15? Yes, I do. So now I have to do the last check. When I go through my 2 times tables, do I say 15? No, I couldn't possibly, because 5 is not an even number. So 15 is not going to work for all 3 of them. What comes after 15? 20. When I go through my 3 times tables, do I say 20? No. Okay, what comes after 20? 25. When I go through my 3 times tables, do I say 25? No, it's 24 and 27. So that's not going to work. What comes after 25? 30. When I go through my 3 times tables, do I say 30? Yes, 3 times 10 equals 30. What about 2? When I go through my 2 times tables, do I say 30? Well, I might not know that for sure, but look at the last digit in the 30. That's a 0. And I know from my divisibility rules that 30 has to be divisible by 2 because it ends in an even number. So that answer has to be yes, simply by my divisibility rules. Therefore, the least common multiple of 2, 3, and 5 is 30. Please stop the video and complete worksheet number 3 right now. So let's review. Least means smallest, common means the same, and multiple are the answers to the multiple minutes. LCM and GCF are both acronyms with 3 letters. They commonly get confused, so we focus in on our last letter, and in LCM we have the 2 lines that face down, reminding us that we'll do our work from top to bottom. GCF, we have the 2 lines that face left to right, reminding us that we'll do our work from left to right. Again, it is different work. It's just hopefully that the direction will remind you what type of work you need to do. Remember, to find the LCM of a number, the fastest way to do it is to take the largest number first. We go through the multiples of that number and see if it's also a multiple of the smaller number next to it. If the answer is no, we write no. You could simply write an N, that's fine. If the answer is yes, we write yes and circle it. That is our answer. Remember, we do not want to try the trick that we've come up with ourselves of saying, oh, all I have to do is multiply the numbers to find the least common multiple, because that does not always work. As shown in example number 2, we would have had 96, but that's a common multiple. It's not the least common multiple. The least common multiple is 48. Sometimes we're given 3 numbers to find the least common multiple of, and that's fine. Again, the fastest way to do this is put it in order from largest to smallest. And if the answer is no in the middle column, don't even waste your time looking at the last column. Just simply put a dash, because it could not be the least common multiple. As soon as you get to a multiple, that's a multiple of all the other numbers, you get yeses for everything else. That would be your least common multiple for all 3 numbers. Hopefully at this point in time, or by the time we finish practicing in class, you will confidently be able to say, I can find the LCM, or least common multiple of numbers. As we do this practice in class, or if you have any questions or concerns, be sure to see a teacher so we can help you with it. Good luck with the lesson.